You ready?
Everybody rise and pledge allegiance. Move your hands, cross your heart, open eye. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Move that we accept the consent agenda.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, it's been moved by Ron and seconded by Emily to accept the consent agenda. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'm going to excuse Glenda tonight. She couldn't be able to be here. And Jamie, we don't know what happened to her either. So there's two members that are gone right now. So we're moving on. Department reports. Chief, you want to go up first?
All right, real quick. Fortunately, we've had a very quiet, I hate we use that word, month or so. Everything's pretty smooth as far as things. I haven't had a lot of problems. I've been kind of changing my shift around so I get out here at different times. Went to the training up in Seattle, which was great. It shows me how we can get our drone program with policies, procedures, when we should, when we shouldn't launch it. And hopefully in the next couple, 3 weeks, I'll go take the test for the certification. Other than that, I've got a reserve riding with me from Morton on tomorrow. She turned her app in. She turned in an application for a possible full-time position. The only thing is we got to consider sending her to the academy. One thing about her, she's currently working in Morton on her own. So she could work up to 6 months before we send her to the academy. So by the time we do poly-psych and all that, we could actually get her through July and then send her to the academy. Just means we go back to, I'm the only one here for about 5 months. I've got another person I talked to over the weekend. He was a Pacific County deputy. He got let go during probationary period. And he possibly is going to put an application in on Monday. And we got one or two other ones in there that we could look at for possibly interviewing. So sometime in January, we may be interviewing up to 3 or 4 for a possible full-time spot. Talking about putting somebody through the Reserve Academy that's starting in January. You guys may know him, Brandon, mayor of Winlock. He can't be a reserve officer over there because, of course, he's the mayor. But I'm going to help teach out there at the Reserve Academy, so it's not going to cost the city any money to send them through it. Obviously, with the reserves and a smaller agency, they share most of the cost. he'll have to do the poly and psych on his own dime and his own equipment. But we'll be able to put him through the Reserve Academy at no cost as far as the class itself. And that'll go from January to just about June. So I'd actually be able to use him during cheese days. So that's a positive thing potentially. I had a lengthy discussion with him today. Chief Brockmuller happened to be here in the afternoon, so he was there as well. And I chatted with him, and he thinks it's a great idea. Many of you may or may not know that our current elected prosecutors are reserve up in Thurston County. So, because he can't do it here, he does it up in Thurston County, and it works out really well. So he's very interested in doing it, wants to serve his, the community, and that's where we're at. Questions? Okay.
Mike?
Hello, everyone. So the meter project is going along real well. We're making some really good progress now. Randy's came on and helped, and they're back on schedule, pretty close to it. So we're getting a lot done during the day, like we thought we would in the first place. So that's a good thing. Also, Shelley helped us run down some poles for the park, and we will be putting them in most likely next week or the week after. I think I'm going to be on vacation, but ASAP, we'll be getting those in and getting that squared away and sturdied up. Met with an engineer today. He came and looked at the structural part of the building, and he's going to write up an eval and send it in. We should have that probably, hopefully by next council meeting. But and then we'll see how that goes. He looked it all over, so took pictures and all that stuff. So, and the well number one, the sensor, all that stuff, when they hooked it up, they came back, checked it out. It's working fine. So as soon as the engineers are ready to do their testing, we're ready to go. So that's all a go to. So now we're just waiting on them. So that's about it.
I have a question. Oh, sorry. Okay. Hi. I had a question about, it's supposed to freeze potentially this weekend. Will you have the pipes covered so they're not going to freeze? Okay. And then let's see. Are we responsible for the gutters that come down the hill? Like if you're coming from Vader, those gutters that start on the road that come down the hill where the big. Those are county? Okay, thank you. Awesome.
Those are catch basins.
Yeah, I was like, whose are these? I don't know. That's what I wanted to know. Okay.
Counties.
And then the big puddle that's between Dobosh and I, is that a leaky pipe or is that just where the rain collects?
It's pretty much a low spot.
Okay.
You're talking about on Pine?
Yeah,
Yeah, we went up there and kind of pushed some dirt around
yeah,
to help drain it, but it needs some work. We're probably gonna look at that a little more this summer.
okay.
See what we can do about making it drain a little better.
I mean, it kind of takes up most of that, right? It doesn't leave much space for a car, but,
No, it doesn't. It was creeping out there pretty good when the heavy rain came, so.
okay, thank you.
Mike, did we get all the tables put away?
The tables?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and did we come up with a plan that maybe that whoever takes them out would, if they take them out for an event, that they would put them back as part of using that facility during the event?
Yeah, I think that's probably gonna go through the next park board. That's probably gonna be put on their agenda, and they're gonna have
Because we
to.
should make it a part of the regular agreement if they take them out. That's all. Thank you.
No, yeah, absolutely. It's just too much for everybody to keep going over. anything
Yeah,
about,
yeah.
so.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
So you bet.
Any other questions for Mike? Thank you, Mike.
Okay, so just real quick, since this is the last council meeting of the year and some council people are done, I'd like to bring up a couple of things. Kind of the new guy here, September was my 2 years. So the council approved some stuff like equipment. And the first one was the toolboxes. for the F-150. That worked out really good, really helped. The next was the service truck and dump trailer. That was a biggie. Council approved that. We used it like a rented mule. Got a lot of stuff done with it. So that worked out good too. The upgrade to the treatment plant was the screw press. You guys approved the electrical so we could fabricate and get that thing put in, get it all up and running. So that was good too. We moved forward with that. This year we put in for a backhoe bucket. So we're going to be able to clean some ditches and do some work with that. So that was on the new budget. So, and we got a new striper last year through last year's budget, but you guys approved it. So we got it. So we're good to go for a while. Some of the projects that we did, the service truck and the dump trailers really came in handy. So we can haul our own solids now, as you guys know. So that is a big thing. We cleaned up around the jail, hauled all the rock, hauled stuff out. We cleaned up around the shop, hauled dump runs, all that with the new truck and the trailer. So that worked out real well. And also we did a lot of work at the park. We dug out all the RV sites, hauled off all the dirt, hauled in all the gravel with the dump trailer and the truck. So, and all the poles that we used for all the RV sites were hauled with the trailer and the truck. So we worked that out. We worked that truck pretty hard. So some of the projects that we are doing now is the thermoplastic that we got, and we changed them all around for our crosswalks, stop bars, all that stuff. So that's in the mix. The radio read meters, that's huge to get those in now. And one of the reasons why is it's going to save a lot of money, because when we start getting the developments in, now the developers will be paying for the meters instead of the city to get them switched over. They're the future. Eventually it'll go that way anyway. So that's a good deal. We ended up getting the TIB project up, coming down 505. So, because we put in for that again this year, and we ended up getting that. So that's a good thing. And then last but not least, the treatment plant got an award this year from ecology. So for compliance and all that stuff. So, and all that just, comes from the support, everything from the council and mayor, staff, and everybody, community. So that's a good thing.
Not that I want to ever use it, but you do have a snow blower too, right?
We got a snow blower
Brand new.
last year when I went down the sidewalk by the Apple store with the backhoe, looking over the edge, knowing that if it went off, it was over. The snow blower is going to be a very good thing. So yes, we
When
did get the snow
when the
blower.
snow comes, you'll
When
be
the snow
happy.
comes. I had a little dusting of snow the other day on my window, so I'm ready for it. So yes, we did get the snow blower. So, but yeah, no, it's just we've moved forward quite a bit in the last 2 years. So it's a great thing.
Michelle?
So the beginning of the month was the housing summit. So I know that Eric Hayes went. I don't know if Emily made it or not. So I'm sure there'll be a report coming out about that. Our software company has sold to another company. They're planning on keeping everything the same. So we will see as time goes and how we feel about that. So we've been with the same software company for 20 years, I think. So, and it's all integrated, our financials, the utility billing to payroll, it all gels together nicely. So hopefully they're keeping some of the same people, I know. And so hopefully that's a smooth transition and we won't notice any change in that. The company has been so great to work with just because we have a problem. We send in a little ticket and they are calling us or emailing us immediately. It's not the next day or a week later. We've had that in the past with a different company So hopefully we have the same courtesy that when we have a problem, it's a problem we need fixed immediately and they can take care of it. So we're hoping on that. Mike and I did meet with some representatives of Lewis County Public Works, and they're working with a company engineering firm, HDR, and also with Economic Development Council, but that's not their name anymore. I can never remember their new name, something Alliance. And they are putting together a county-wide plan of all the infrastructure projects, as in water and sewer mainly, not streets at this time. And so it's kind of going to be a huge mapping thing. And the plan is to get this together and look at the projects that are almost like shovel ready or close to being shovel ready at least, and trying to get funding for those projects. So it's a huge task. And so it's an exciting task though. So it's the first time the county's done something like this. And so I think it's going to help us. And part of the plan is to possibly use some of those ARPA funds that are coming through. We got, some this year and we'll be getting some more next year. So, or just trying to figure out some other funding projects to work together. So that was a good meeting. And so I was able to send them all of our information that we have from our water comprehensive plan, our old one, because the new one's not done yet, and our sewer comprehensive plan. So there'll be some more meetings on that too. I think that's all. I've been sick since I've been back from vacation. So, but other than that, I know. Don't go anyplace hot and then come back to Washington State. That's for sure. So, but the mayor and I have met with some other people that are further on the agenda. So we'll talk about that when we get to it. So welcome, Jamie. I haven't met you yet. So
Yes. Okay, just moving on to the public hearing special presentation. Pat Caldwell has got the stand.
and you can take your mask down to talk so that people can understand.
Thank you. Okay, I want to talk to you about the Toledo Library. Back in 2013, my husband and I wanted to donate the old pharmacy building to have it be part of the library and to join the Timberland Regional Library. Timberland told us that there had to be a vote of the citizens of the city that they wanted to be levied to support it. People out in the county have been paying on this for 30 some years. The people in the city passed it and said, yes, they wanted to. So we reported that back to Timberland, or they heard that. And then they said the other thing is that the city has to be willing to take the building on, to accept it as a donation. So once that was passed and we went forward, then we were told, no, you're too close to Winlock. You can't be a full service library. And we got the kiosk, which we can get books from and return books to Timberland. It has been our goal always to be a branch. Whenever I meet with Cheryl Haywood, who is the head of Timberland, she always asks me, what would you like to see this year? And I always say, I want us to be a branch of the library. Just recently, one of the board of trustees, Brian Zylstra, who is the Lewis County rep, said that he wanted to do a feasibility study to see what it would take to make Toledo a branch. So then Cheryl threw in this thing about they never could be a branch because the city doesn't want to take on the library. They don't want to have the financial responsibility for maintenance, utilities, things of that sort. So if that is, I guess what I am asking, if that is a fact, I don't know really where she got that idea, but that's what she is bringing up now. So I need to go before you and ask if that's true. And I did some little information sheets. If you could pass those down, please. And this is information that is on the Timberland website. And this is all pertinent to the kiosk. starts in 2014. The things that are most important on here, as one of the people at Timberland told me, there's a lot of information here that just doesn't make much sense. But the third one down where it shows total circulation under checkouts, that is everything that is checked out from films to books to talking books to anything like that that we get from Timberland. As you can see, it had peaked in 2017 and then started to go down, and we really had a crash with COVID. We are slowly coming back up, and we're at 1753 now. So that number is improving. Another thing that has really grown is under the overdrive circulation, the next category down. This is where people get like their ebooks and things that you can just get online, and you don't have to have them, sent out. And so that number has gone up now to overdrive. Yeah, we're up to 2563. So there's a lot of activity that way. And then on the other side, it has holds placed, and the holds placed are now up at 843 for this year. We have had more in the past. We are definitely rebuilding. The library in general, we're now open 12 hours a week, 4-hour, 3-day shifts. Before COVID, we were 18 hours, but some of our volunteers just didn't feel comfortable coming back with COVID. And so we're down to 12 hours. We usually see roughly 24 people a day in that time. Sometimes it's lower, sometimes it's up to 30. It just really varies. It comes and goes. But there are quite a few people using the library. I think personally, I think it's a good thing, but I guess you probably guessed that. So the things that I wanted to tell you, and then on the last page, I forgot that. There's a thing that shows how much, so Centralia, Chehalis, and Winlock are the ones that are doing repairs, maintenance for the libraries. And this is what it's costing them. Winlock would be the closest in size to us. As you can see, in 2018, they had a $12,000 cost. But I know they did a lot of floor work there. They had to rip the floor out and put a new one in. So I'm assuming that's what that was. But usually they're running a little over $6,000. So that's for utilities, any maintenance that needs to be done, any repairs, that kind of thing. I went through our checkbook, and for the last year, our utilities ran $28.40 for a year. That averages about $240 a month. We have been having bake sales. We have 3 or 4 bake sales and book sales a year to do it. We have been able to pay all of those, and we have a balance of about $5,000 right now. So we're able to do that. As far as repairs, if there were any repairs needed, Bill and I have been doing that. So, but really, there is, at one point there was, as I was telling Steve, there was a leak in the roof, but it's not leaking now, and we sure have had a lot of rain. All the lights have been repurposed to the low energy use ones. The carpeting we replaced when we started the library. The other thing, and I don't know if this would apply, but the taxes are $850 a year. And our insurance usually runs about $1,200, but Michelle was saying that if it was under the city, that that would be covered. So basically, we just need to have, it's not that you're committed at this point to doing it, but I would like to be able to tell Cheryl either yay or nay, the city would accept this building. We would like to have it used as a library. If at some point it couldn't be used as a library for some reason, then we would just have it that it would come back to us. We don't want, anything else to be done with it than that. Any questions?
Question I have, one for Michelle and one for you. If if the library, and I think it's a great addition to the community, by the way. But if the library were to grow and they needed to go to another location and build a larger facility, could that building be sold and used towards the proceeds? You said if it's not going to be used, that building isn't going to be used for a library. But if the funds from that were going to be used for a library, would that be acceptable? I guess that
Yes,
was
yes,
my
that
one
would.
question. And I thought it would be, but I just
Yeah.
wanted to clarify
And we
that.
also own the lot behind the library, so,
So
something-
there might be a possibility of expanding there. Okay. That was my first question. Then to Michelle is whether or not we have a difficulty in saying that we assume that responsibility. Do we have difficulty budget wise? Could we find it? Because it looks like Winlock is spending $500 a month, maybe $600 a month, whether or not that's something that we could work into our budget and not be a hardship on the city.
So it would be something that we would have to work into our budget. I think what the thing to do right now would be, it's on the agenda too, is to say that to make a motion to consider taking over the building for the library so that the feasibility study could be done, is what they're looking for. And then after that comes back, the feasibility study, then we'll really dig into the nuts and bolts of it. Like she said too, they're doing, some fundraisers. So I'm sure the Friends of the Library would
Sure.
still be willing to do some of that, when we discuss things. So there's just some little details to work out. Yes.
So the only thing you need now is a motion that we would approve a feasibility study to determine whether or not we're able to take over the ownership. Or
Approve the consideration of taking over the library building in order for Timberland to do their feasibility study.
I will make that.
But that's
motion.
later on
That's later
in
on.
the agenda.
It's under new business. Ron.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do we need to do it down now or down there?
Down there. Yeah.
Down there.
Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
So is there any
Thank
other
you.
questions for Pat?
Thank you.
Any other questions for Pat? Thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
Next on the public hearing special presentation will be Amber Buck.
Yes, you do. Otherwise you can't get this on YouTube.
Oh. Well, hi, you guys. Thanks for giving me some time at the agenda. I'm here to talk about the food bank and not so much about the existing food bank, but kind of what we would like it to be. So the current food bank has been a concern of mine for a few years now. Most of you might know that I've been working with Walk and Knock for a long time. So I've been in a unique position to see the food bank, not all the time, right? Just kind of as years go by. And it's been declining. The condition of the food bank has been declining, the storage there. And working with Walk and Knock and working with Debbie, I get a lot of people in the community that assume that because I run the Walk and Knock that I run the food bank or have some connection to it, which I don't. So in the last 2 years, I've gotten a lot of concerned complaints from people about the food bank, the way that it looks, the condition of the building, the availability to receive donations. I've had, I'm super nervous. I'm so sorry. I know. It's not like you guys don't all know me. So I have gotten a lot of people concerned because their checks haven't been cashed if they've donated. They're trying to find out more information about where the money goes, how it's spent. It's hard to find public record about the food bank budget and things like that. I've reached out to Debbie and asked, and she's refused to share that with me. I've asked to be invited to board meetings. She's refused to allow that. I've had a lot of local farmers and community members say, I've got food, I've got produce. Can we coordinate? So I give them, I text Debbie, hey, do you mind if I share your information? Oh no, have them call me. They call her. She doesn't accept the deliveries or, she's not making the food bank available for donation. And that's, third hand. So I'm just going to leave it at that. And then a lot of complaints about just the conditions overall. So I thought, well, I reach out to Debbie, can I help you in some way? Nope, kind of a closed door. So I reached out to Alicia Bull, who's here tonight. I reached out to the Food Bank Coalition. I've shared some concerns with them, tried to find out some more information. A small group of us got together here in the community to represent the garden program at the school, some of the local farmers. It's been a group of us. We've been meeting, kind of talking about this since the spring. I've reached out to the coalition and everyone since the beginning of the year, March, April, and kind of nothing. So we just sat down as a group and thought, what can we do? Can we do something better? So we came up with a program, which you guys should have a copy of this, as well as a letter of support from the Lions Club, who we met with, and the Toledo Community Foundation, who we always also met with. Not sure what to do regarding the existing food bank, but what we would like to see is a program that that building becomes a hub for Toledo. So, and a program where we can oversee deliveries, open dates, food pickup, coordinate with some of the other local areas or nonprofit groups in town, volunteer groups to deliver. The food bank doesn't allow for delivery. You can only pick up for your household, I think there's some government parameters that are, requirements there. So we would like the city to consider giving this new group, Neighbors Feeding Neighbors, an opportunity to create a better food pantry, food collection, food distribution program that would be supported by the other local groups in our community that are already in existence and, working well together. And that down the road, the plan would be that we'd be the hub for that. So if somebody wants to do a coat drive or a book drive or a clothing drive, or we would, access that information from them, what their needs are. We would post, we would have a social media, a web page. A lot of what's wrong with the food bank now, from what I'm seeing, is that there's not enough communication. So when are they open? When's the next drop off? When can I go get food? How do I get food from my neighbor? What happens if I have an emergency and I know someone in need and they can't wait for 2 Fridays, or they can't get there between 10 and noon? Currently, the food bank's open for 2 hours, 2 times a month. Well, if you're a single mom working at McDonald's, it's kind of hard to get there. So how do we help those people? And how do we help the shut-ins? So I just want to know how this, what we could do to get that program going. We've got a plan. We've got a whole group of volunteers that would come in, would help contribute their time, their energy, their talents, which Toledo is full of, right? And make something that's more inclusive and becomes a central point for our community to work from, both intake and outgoing, and in a way that really lets us access all of the people who need our help, not just the people who have a car or the people that don't have a job and can come, or we don't want to limit those opportunities. And we want to be a place that really communicates and becomes more inclusive. So that's about it. Any questions? Sure. I reached out to Debbie multiple times. And to be quite frank with you, the last conversation I had with Debbie, she asked me for all the walk and knock materials back. So I took them to her and she shut the door in my face. So unfortunately, I've tried to go through the other avenues and help what's in existence. I don't like to rebuild something from scratch. I like to work with what the tools are, but I feel like that what's happened now is kind of broken, and it would be easier just to move forward with a new plan than try to correct something, not knowing what other underlying issues may be there. So that's where I'm coming from. Yep. Any other questions?
Okay, thank you, Amber.
Okay.
Fix that.
Sure you did.
That's just my heart.
Yeah.
Okay, you heard the presentations, the public comment on agenda items. Any public comment on agenda items?
So this is the time if anybody in the public wishes to talk on behalf of any to the presentations are on the agenda, so if there's any other comments that you would like to make at this time, please come up and state your name and your chocolate flag. Everybody rush at once.
Don't be bashful. Now's your time. Shelley,
Remember, agenda items.
calm down. Just your hubby.
I'm Mike Thomas. I've lived in Toledo most of my life. I'm glad to see that somebody's wanting to take over the food bank. The food bank's been in a pretty bad situation for probably the last 5 to 10 years. Between all the garbage outside, it's a big fire trap. I've been on the fire department for 30 years. I tried to get something going to have it cleaned up several years ago. I want to thank you for your time and effort. I think it's a great plan. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, let's move on. New business, Toledo Community / Timberland Library. You heard the presentation. We need a motion.
I would move that we would accept or begin the feasibility study for the city to take over the library building.
I will second that motion.
There's been a motion by Ron and second by Emily. Any more discussion on this? Then let's take a vote.
I just want to make it clear, it won't be the city doing the feasibility study, it will be Timberland
Timberland,
Library. So it's
yes.
just the city opting to take over the library building.
Okay? All those in favor, please say aye.
All right.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 2 is the Toledo Food Pantry. Entertain a motion for that.
I make a motion that we move forward.
Emily. moving on.
Sorry, habit. I make a motion that we move forward with the Toledo Community Foundation. Is that what I
How
said?
about neighbors helping neighbors?
Neighbors helping neighbors and terminate the non-working relationship with the current food bank. Does that sound good?
Ask Michelle.
Or should I be more concise? Okay, all right.
Did you hear that okay?
I second that motion.
Okay, the motion's been made by Emily and seconded by Shelley. Any more discussion?
Yeah, my only concern has to do with, because I think it's a great idea, this group taking it over. But it's kind of like the Israelis taking over the Palestinian land, that we need to make sure that we do not violate any contracts or agreements or things. So the only thing I would have is that the end goal would be for neighbors helping neighbors to take over the program, because I think it's more inclusive than just food. And I think the community is better served. But I want us to move slow enough to make sure we understand any kind of contracts or agreements, that we follow the process that we need to go through so that that's done properly, so we don't find all of us in the middle of a lawsuit. And obviously, the city has begun activity to try to improve the conditions there, and they've been very unresponsive. So we'll need to do that, maybe even involve Mr. Buswell, but at this point, the attorney, not the neighbor.
Buzzard.
And Buzzard, I'm sorry. And that we would, that would be the only caution I would have. I think it's a great idea, but I do have that concern.
Is there a way that the city can terminate the contract?
I think you make your motion.
Oh, I'm-
correctly, was to move forward.
Okay,
It wasn't anything.
okay, all right.
Okay, the motion's on the floor. Any more discussion? Let's vote on it. All those in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, unfinished business. Ordinance number 7. Yeah, I was thinking that when I saw unfinished business also. You're welcome. Thank you for reminding me. I'm getting old. Anyway, unfinished business ordinance number 770, 2021 budget amendments, second reading. Ordinance number 770. Well, that's a long one. An ordinance of the city of Toledo, Washington, amending the annual budget for the city of Toledo for the calendar year 2021 by increasing the revenues and expenditures of the current expense funds in the amount of $18,960 and increase the expenditures in the police department fund in the amount of $3,000 and increasing the revenues and expenditures in the city street fund in the amount of $16,080 and increasing the revenues and expenditures in the police car reserve fund in the amount of $10,000 and increasing revenues and expenditures in the city street construction fund in the amount of $46,681 and directing the city clerk / treasurer to effect the budget amendments herein and provided. Got through that one. Anyway, I'll entertain a motion for that.
This is because we move funds through the year. We start with the budget and we just need to approve any changes we make to the budget. So I would make a motion that we approve ordinance number 770.
I will second that motion.
It's been moved to accept the 770 by Ron, also seconded by Emily. Any more discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Whoa,
Yeah, I have a question. So if here's my question, because there's,
put your mic on. Move your mask.
we need the kind that just pop on when you say something. So my question is this, there's, if we're gonna go back to unfinished business to discuss the car, and we have money in here for the car, is that gonna make a difference?
No.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
2021 budget amendments.
Okay,
So the cars are 2022 budget.
okay, I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion carries for ordinance number 770. Ordinance number 771, an ordinance for the city of Toledo, Washington, adopting a budget for the city of Toledo for the year 2022 as required by law, adopting the 2022 fee schedule, attachment A, and adopting all city and Toledo policies and procedures list, attachment B. The city council of the city of Toledo, Washington, do ordain as follows. Entertain a motion for this one.
I make a motion that we accept ordinance 771 as read. The second reading?
Second reading. Do I hear a second?
I second.
It's been moved by Shelley on number 771 and seconded by Jamie. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Also with the unfinished business, now we can bring up the car. Sam, you got some more information for the council on that? And Michelle does too.
A couple things. Obviously, when we were talking about the other day, we had that drop dead date for ordering a 22. I did some research on that. That's closed. You can't even order a 22 police car right now until the end of next year. And as of right now, not excluding later on, the 22 cars have went up by $3,500. There is a vehicle still currently up in Dwayne Lane. As far as I know, as of a couple days ago, the Durango and two of the Chargers were still available. 21s, brand new, for the price that was I gave you guys here last meeting. And as far as the Dodge Charger, the one that's out here, the 2009, we've had people come up and talk to us about wanting to buy that car, and it's still a market value. The question was about hanging on to that car. If we hang on to that car right now, we have to put money into it, somewhere in the neighborhood between $1,000 and $2,000. And then we're just gonna rack more miles up on it and the value of it's gonna go down. So we got a couple people, I think the mayor talked to somebody recently that, people want the car. And that's kind of where we're at now. Like I mentioned in my briefing, I've got a few people that are actually looking at potentially going to work here. That could be as early as February, if they work out and go through the oral board and everything else. Still, that's no guarantee, but right now I do have people looking finally. Like I said, I got the gal from Morton. She's gonna ride with me tomorrow, kind of get an idea. She lives locally. The only thing is we have to send her to the academy, and that's another thing to discuss. So Michelle's got some other information on it.
Also, I'd like to add before Sam goes on, the listed value of the car right now is between $10,000 and $12,000. We've got a standing offer from the gentleman last week to come into our office at $10,000 and he'll bid on the tires, which is $1,200. He will take care of that cost and pay us $10,000 cash immediately.
So that's,
Go ahead.
okay. So that takes money away from the total value, of course. The question was, I think you said what kind of goodies or toys I want on it. It just really depends on if we still have the Durango available or not. As far as I know, it's still available, but I have to call tomorrow and see if we get to that point. You're still talking about somewhere in that $500 to $6,500 range, depending on what equipment. One of the things that I'm going to try to do is get the best value out of the equipment, and I may be ordering it before I take it down there, so we're not paying the installer their price. So that could save a few $100s to a couple thousand. So. Question.
If you were to get said vehicle, how would there be a transition period where you wouldn't have any like, secondary car? Or is that?
The sooner we get it, the quicker I can get it in to have it upfitted. Obviously, with delay of everything these days, ships are sitting out in the sea. We have to order some lights. Devin and I ordered some replacement lights for the police bike, and they've been a month. So we got to look at how long it's going to take to get that equipment in. So that's another thing. But as far as downtime, if we got rid of the Charger right now, obviously that car would be gone. But I'm looking at anybody that gets hired is still got to go through about a month of, I got to do a background, talk to, people. We got to do a poly, got to do a psych and get them uniformed and everything else, and then get it approved, introduce them to you folks, have it approved to actually hire that person. Obviously, one I mentioned is from Pacific County. He's already fully certified. A couple of the other ones we have in the file is obviously go to the full-time academy, so they'd have to work for a while before they go up. So that'd be something to be discussed.
The one question I have is the car that Randy uses is equipped. But Randy's current duties, he could possibly be using the new car, even though if it's not equipped, until, there's nothing the matter with using it for what he would use it for. And then we'd just be down the days would have to go out and get fitted with emergency equipment, which is probably a week or so, right?
Maybe, yeah. That could work somewhere, true. But, when we talk about Randy, of course, like tomorrow, he's going to come in and work on a case for me. That's something that he'll dive right into and take care of. So he's still very valuable. So yeah, that's why he still has his car.
No, but my question is, does he need a fully equipped car?
Not
Or
necessarily.
No, not because he isn't going to be pursuing anybody.
No,
Is that correct?
but he could be on traffic control and stuff on different things if we have that.
Okay.
So I don't want to limit the abilities, but yeah, he's not going to be doing that type of work on a regular basis. So yeah, that could be.
Any other questions for Sam? Michelle, you got anything?
So the spreadsheet that I did was one that we started back in 2020. And when the other chief yes, was looking at our vehicles and lifespan of a police car. And so this is kind of a spreadsheet of where we're at, where we're going on the 2022, on the surplus. I had only wrote $5,000. I didn't know that it had gone up to $10,000. So there's an additional $5,000. And then if we purchase this car, we would do what's called an interfund loan with another department, with another fund. And so that does need to be paid back within 3 years. So this plan is for that too. So I know there was some questions at the last council meeting that I wasn't in attendance of taking those funds to, hire an officer or something like that. No, you could not do that with those monies, but you could borrow it from the fund for a police car to pay it back within 3 years with interest to ourselves instead of a bank.
Any other questions for Michelle? So we need a,
I'm just still trying to decide, like, in my mind, I guess, I feel like I'm sort of, we have 3 cars. If we sell the Charger, we have 2 cars and 2 officers. I'm still sort of just struggling with the whole 3rd car thing. So I guess it's not really a question exactly, but
So I think the 3rd car mainly is to have 3 cars available is for your reserve officers. So we have 1 reserve officer already. That's not, like Ron had explained, isn't doing pursuit stuff. So if we get this 3rd car, we'll be selling the 1 car. He could use it unequipped because he's not doing pursuits and stuff like that. But Sam is talking about getting the reserve program up and going. So it is giving a vehicle for not the brand new one, obviously, but the reserves would have a vehicle to use. Otherwise, it makes it really difficult to do this switch in and swap in, police cars with officers and reserve officers.
Here's the other thing about that. We're a small department, just like Winlock and Napa and stuff. We don't have the option to have a whole fleet that we can go grab from. So having that 3rd car is really essential if we got to have service done, extended service or anything else. Or unfortunately, if somebody does run into us, that could take that car out of service for a while. And the question was before was, I don't have an officer. I agree with that, but it looks like we may actually get one sooner than I anticipated. So, but it takes time to put them together and stuff. And it's better off to have it ready to go than trying to swap out cars from in between people. Because I get called from home at 1 o'clock in the morning. I can't go to the tower there and grab a car if my car's down and my personal vehicle and try to get an emergency for anything. I could be passing the emergency on the way. So, that's one thing about small agencies, why take home car and assigned car is really essential.
and to add to that also, Sam, parts. For ordering parts or getting parts or receiving parts, the backup lines are way out there.
Right.
Months, years, whatever. I've been waiting for a steering column for 3 months. Haven't got it yet. So if you guys get an fender bender or something, like you said, you're down a car, we have nothing to choose from.
Right. And that's another good piece of information because, if we do have to order a replacement part on any of the cars we have, I can't tell you what that's going to be. It just really depends. So having a car like the rotation that we started putting in place, the unique thing is right now I don't have that officer on place, but that could be as early as February.
The real issue is that we have a 2009 vehicle that we want to replace with the new vehicle. Right. And it would make sense on one side that we would wait until we had the opportunity to have the other officer and absolutely need the vehicle and then get rid of the 2009 and buy the new vehicle. The 2 problems with that, if I understand it now, is number 1, that the 2022s won't be available for a year to order.
If we ordered a brand new,
Yeah, it'd be available for a year if we order. And so that's the first issue. And then the second issue is the 2009 has a relatively, I would think, a relatively good value.
Right now it does.
Of $10,000. And so the issue is whether or not we want to put off. And then when we are ready, and then when it's able to, which is going to be a year from now, then order a new vehicle, and then the 2009 is going to be worth whatever it's worth, which we would figure would be less. Or we can order the new one now. So that's really the choice.
Yeah, right now, in fact, the mayor talked to the young gentleman directly, and he's saying, I'm gonna give you money for this car right now. I can't tell you what's gonna happen in a month or 2 months or 3 months. If we keep the 2009, clearly, we're gonna put money into it. I mean, it's at that point, it's got 92,000 miles on it, been well taken care of by Randy. As far as ordering a 22, that's out of the question. We would actually be ordering a 23, which wouldn't come until the first of the following year. Right now, we're fortunate that there's actually patrol cars on a lot up north. Like I said, there's 3 of them that fit our needs, the one Durango and the 2 Chargers. One of those are available now. I don't know where we'd find one in March or April or May or June. May find one, may not. I can't guarantee that. But when I get this officer on board, I need to get him up and running and get him in a car. And Randy needs to continue to do what he's doing because one, he enjoys it. 2, he's very valuable. So I can agree on both sides of it, but I need to have a department that's up and running. And since I have very limited resources, I need to make sure those are ready to go. So.
Any other questions for Sam or Michelle?
Well, I appreciate having it explained a bit more to me because I was totally clueless last meeting. But I mean, it's a gamble, right? Like you don't know if you should and maybe you shouldn't. But it seems like the way things have been going, especially this last year, it would be prudent to have something that would be reliable for the city of Toledo and have it, if it's already here, like
Well, to add to that, we started this program of rotation so we get better resale value. We've done that with our last car we sold. We had 17,000. We never got that before as long as I've been mayor. That's over 6 years now. We've never gotten that kind of price. And we have through the rotation. We need to keep the rotation up because you get better resale. And the better resale means you pay less for a newer car. And right now there's a 2021 sitting up there with 0 miles on it, 0 everything. And it's equipped for what we need for our purposes. So my suggestion is sell the other one, get the new one, and we'll be all set to go. But that's up to the council. And that's what I'm telling you. It's going to go up in price. Everything's going to go up, up, up. And now we can't even get a new one till next year, late next year.
Yeah, I don't really see this as a gamble. It's a planning tool, just like the planning commission uses. We have our comprehensive planning documents and stuff. This is a document too. It's a planning tool and we're just planning for our future. So I don't see it as a gamble per se. It is something that we're planned for and we should keep on the same track.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to use the word gamble.
I'll leave you with one last thought. My department is an emergency response department. I don't get the option to say at 3:00 in the morning, hey, I can't, dang it. Hey, I can't go to the call because my car don't start. I can't have it being broke down on a regular basis. And I can't have my new officer, whoever that is, get in the car because I worked for departments where you go out there and you go, wah, 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 wah. And dispatch is saying, hey, where are you? This person's getting beat out of them. So I'm not a delivery driver. My agency's not a delivery driver. There are times where I've got to get somewhere and I cannot have something that's not going to be reliable. And like Michelle said, it's part of the strategic planning. We plan for water, sewer, we plan for everything else. It's just one of those unfortunate costs that we got to look at and spend money ahead of the game instead of behind the game.
Do we need to make a motion?
Yes, if you want Sam to go ahead and contact the for one of the vehicles up north that's available. We'll need to make a motion and hopefully they can just invoice us next year or January 1st. Because it's not in this year's budget and we've already done our budget amendment. So it is in the 2022 budget, but not the 2021 budget.
I did talk to him, like I said, not too long ago. If I tell him we're gonna take the car, he'll hold on to it till after the first year. So we wouldn't have to get it out of this budget. It's like,
And you have a preference?
what's that?
I said, out of the three, you have a preference? I mean, there's three. Am I correct? At the time, less than.
As long as it's still available, that one, like, I'm looking to go black. Huh? Oh,
So,
yeah, the Durango is the one I was looking at, and it's white. I was actually, because of being white, I was thinking about actually just marking it. So that's higher, better visibility.
so ready, okay. I will make a motion that, Sam, use your funds and get a car that will serve the city of Toledo well. And be a beacon of hope. I don't know.
Do I hear a second? Okay, the motion's been made by Emily and seconded by Jamie. Any other discussion on it? No other discussion, let's vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, thank you.
Okay, moving on to other business, we have none. Public input. Any public input? Yes, sir. Come on up and grab a mic.
No, he'll get this,
I think that's covered in that whole discussion. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
My name is Bruce Graham. I am the chairman of the Lewis County Food Bank Coalition, and my hearing aids do not work. So I do not know the effect of the motion that you guys passed in ordinance with the food bank. So could you clarify that for me, please? What's the effect of that?
Go ahead, Ron.
I would say that that we're going to try to move forward with neighbors, helping neighbors, taking over the food bank, but we're going to do it cautiously enough to make sure we don't violate any contracts that we have with the current people at this point in time, or that we don't violate any kind of laws. So the idea is to move forward, but we need to move wise enough to make sure that we cover all the bases whenever it comes to making a change of the people that are currently there. We
Are
just
you
can't.
aware of how the coalition works?
No, I am not. No.
Well, the coalition is of all Lewis County, of which Toledo Food Bank is one of them. They are contractually hooked up to all the federal and state food bank dollars. You guys can't touch it. How are you going to feed your food bank?
Well, what we're concerned about is that we do have an agreement over the use of our building.
I understand that,
Okay,
but I'm
and
just,
that's what
Yeah.
that's the only thing we're trying to do is to who uses our building. That's the only control we have.
okay, but if you remove the existing food bank and replace it with a new one, what will you source your food from?
To be totally honest with you, I don't think that that's necessarily our concern as much, because we, as you said, the group that coordinates with you is not the city. The city does not coordinate directly with you. Rather, it's the food bank group that's running the food bank now, and it would be the neighbors helping neighbors. And maybe I'm talking, at
Well,
least
my
that's
question is,
understanding.
where is the Neighbors Helping Neighbors going to get the state and federal food?
Oh, I don't.
Well, you ought to consider that if you're going to feed the hungry
And
people.
I would agree. And that's the reason why I said rather than making the decision that that's what's going to happen, we're going to take in and take each step and see exactly what we need to do in order to move forward. So I think your concern is very, very valid. And because that's the type of concern, I think there's probably a myriad of questions that are similar to yours in different areas that we certainly haven't done the research or consideration, that we do have the intention now of trying to do it because we have an option. We know from our standpoint that we have a situation that is not working. It's not working on a number of planes. The people aren't being served. There's a fire hazard. There's a health hazard that has been created. We have begun to try to work on the health hazard and the fire hazard, and have begun that action a few months ago. And we will continue with that. So the idea of moving forward is something that, to be frankly honest with you, I could not tell you what the next step we're going to take, but we do know that we have a direction that we're going to head in. Does that make sense?
Well,
And
it
so-
doesn't make sense to me, only from the standpoint that I'm all of a sudden aware of it. And you say this has been going on for a long time. Okay. I have not been approached as chairman of the organization that gives you guys food to say, we have a problem, how can I help?
Well, I think that that is the communication breakdown, excuse me, that we are very frustrated with, because the person that is supposed to be communicating with you has not had any communication with any one of us. They are not, there are rats in that building. There is food that is rotting on the floor
How
there,
do you know that?
because I've been in the building and I've seen it. And there are multiple people that have been in that building and seen it. It is behind the city of Toledo's office. It is a fire hazard. There were potatoes that were rotting on the floor.
Okay,
Where
I'm
is the
not-
money that we have, this is, third-party information, but where is the money where are those checks? Where's the money that people have donated to the food bank that you
I
have,
think that's
you
a
haven't
red hair, and I
seen?
believe that.
Yeah,
Well, organizationally, the food bank, your food bank is a standalone situation, right? They belong to my board, and I get them the federal and state money through their, in other words, you have to belong to my organization.
when was the
because
last time
I-
you saw them?
Pardon me?
When was the last time you saw them?
Oh, Debbie?
Mhm.
I see her twice a week.
Really? Because we call her and we try to see her and we've never seen her. I haven't seen her in a year.
We have to come out and make a annual visit, which I have done. I did not see all the things you've described. The thing that we were trying to do, and I was trying to get to find out somebody to talk to, if I can upgrade that building, your power is not adequate. I would,
There was a broken window that has not been, that's on the food bank side.
who's the landlord?
I don't know
Who's
the answer to
responsible
that.
for the window?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay, so let's not impinge me that I'm responsible for that window. But I'm just trying to say, I have been trying to improve the refrigeration, make things better. All of these food banks are on a very, very tight budget, and so these are good people. I don't like them impinged.
But good people need to provide services and food that is, healthy to eat and not expired by 6 or 7 months. That's not okay.
Well, the expiration dates, if you go to the feds, you can go a long ways out. The only thing that you cannot give beyond expiration date is baby food. Okay? So the expiration date on a standalone doesn't matter because the feds say you can still give it. All right? A lot of hungry people don't turn stuff out. Yes,
Sir, it will be possible that perhaps you would work with us and the city clerk and with Debbie when we, because at some point there's going to have to be a meeting.
well, and that's kind
yeah.
of what I was trying to feel. I don't
And that-
understand what your motion was for. I thought it was premature if you're going to shut them down without getting me in the middle of it, because I can make things happen.
No, and the caution that I raised was exactly what you're saying, is that we are not totally aware or even slightly aware in some aspects of what needs to be done. And so what we do need to do is head in the direction that says, the real direction that we have is that things have to improve. We cannot have the situation the way it is now. So I think that Michelle will be more than willing to enlist your help to meet with, and the mayor, to meet with the principals that are involved and to try to figure out exactly how we move forward. The fact of the matter is to move forward with the new group is a very, very, very good option, because at least they express the concern that they want to improve the situation. The attempts that the city has made up to this point in time, and Michelle will share it off at another time, tomorrow morning after this meeting, whatever, is that the city has made diligent efforts to try to improve the situation, and that there has not been even a hint of a positive response, let alone a gracious response. So I think the motion is that we would move forward to make a change. Not necessarily because it might not be possible, but as to who runs the food bank. But certainly the situation has to improve, and from the city council want to go on record as saying that somebody who says we're going to do what's very, very, very best for this city is what we want to go with. And at this point in time, we have one group that says we want to do that. We have another group that seems to be in the driver's seat at this point in time that says that won't even respond, that won't even share what their intentions are, won't clean up the simple request that we have.
Well, it has
That's what we-
been cleaned up.
No.
So
Yeah, well, but that's where we're at though. So the motion is to move forward to find out exactly what steps we need to do to move forward. And the fact of the matter is that we might need to stay with what we have until some kind of contract, or it might be that we'll need to give record notice to that group that they need to vacate our building and make that building available to somebody who will do something. And maybe it will be short and not be able to receive the help that your organization gives. But the fact of the matter is that the city needs to do whatever it can do to improve the services to the citizens of this town that needs it, if that makes sense.
well,
Yeah, I mean, that's
a lot-
your whole
That's
mission
a
in
lot of
life.
verbiage, and I'm just getting I'm doing an inferential leap that you're praising one group and disparaging the other.
Yeah, and
I
I,
don't
to be
think
honest
that's
with you,
worthy.
I'm not praising one group because I'm not, the other group isn't even, they don't have a track record. They haven't begun. All I said is that we need somebody who will come to the table and say, we will try to do something to improve the situation. And at this point in time, we only have one group that has expressed that concern. That's where we're at. And,
Okay,
and does that make sense?
it only makes sense up to where I disagree with you, because I think what bothers me is you're doing something without understanding how this whole food bank thing operates.
Yeah, but the only thing we've
Have you
done,
ever seen our operation?
the only thing we have done is to say that we're going to try to find out exactly how you operate, what we need to do, what steps need to be taken, how do we move, rather than saying, kick the one group out and accept the other
And
group.
that's why I'm asking about the
And-
motion. Is the motion saying we're going to
No, what the motion says is that we're going to move forward to improve the situation and to do the steps that we need to do in order to accomplish getting services to our people.
Then
That's
we're
what
in
the message.
100% agreement.
Okay.
And what I think should be done, guys, is I would like to have you come to our table along with other people that's involved in this situation, come to the table, let's sit down and talk about it. Because I want the best for the citizens of Toledo also. I've been born and raised here all my life.
Right.
So I don't know the realm and ramifications of what's going to happen or what we need to happen. All I know is we need to improve what we've got. And it's not being done because I've asked her personally 6 years ago when I first came into office that this is wrong. What you're doing here is stacking up stuff, clear to the ceiling. It's way outdated. There's some stuff in there that's 18 months old. Really? You're gonna give that to people 18 months old, orange
Yes.
juice? Why?
It's
Why-
perfectly good food.
Because I talked to other food banks, they're getting fresher stuff. They're
No,
getting-
no, you're just saying something 18 months old out of date. The feds say yes.
Okay.
Where do we get it? We get it from the feds.
Then we need to have you come to the table and discuss it, just like Ron was saying with all of us. So we
Yeah,
can come
well,
to some type of
Let
conclusion.
me clarify something. When you say me come to the table, I do not speak for food bank. Organizationally, I'm a syndicate above them. I've got
But you know how,
11 food banks that I buy food for and I distribute food for, and we do that. And so what I'm saying is, when you guys started this, I'm saying, and what you were talking about, I don't know if you've messed with the feds and the state, but it's a hoop.
Yeah, though, I think the only thing we really need you to do is to help to bring Debbie in that she'll at
Right.
least discuss as to where we are. That's the starting place. And I think you have an influence there. I think what you do is great. And I admire what your mission is. And I don't understand it completely, but I understand it enough to appreciate what it is that you do. What my concern is that what you do in a lot of places needs to take place here. People need to be able to have access to food more than 4 hours a month. That number one. I understand that it might be hard to have volunteers. They need to have food that is standing in a warehouse that is not distributed because of the fact that it isn't made available. All those things, that's what we need your help with.
Right,
it's
but see and not knowing the intricacies, but if you've got bodies, why can't Debbie have your bodies? I guess that's a question.
Yeah, she doesn't want to help.
Okay, well, anyway, I take minor umbrage in anybody disparaging my groups.
No, and I understand
You gotta
that.
understand where I'm
I
coming from.
appreciate that
Because I put in a
100%.
lot of time getting feed to hungry people.
And I
When you tell
understand
me
that.
It ain't working, I say, yes, it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, and so go ahead. Michelle.
So I want to say, so to let you know, the city has a lease with the food bank, not with the coalition. And so what's happening is the lease with the food bank is not working. And we have a lot of issues there. So it's not talking bad about your coalition at all. And your coalition is doing great things, but it's not working for Toledo. And the person that is unfortunately running the Toledo Food Bank is not accepting help. That's been offered over and over. It is in such a mess. And I am constantly, annually, every year, twice a year usually, having to contact about problems back there. And they start fixing a little bit, but it's never completely fixed. You have somebody from the fire department that has witnessed issues in there. There's been messes outside of the food bank.
Hearing this, who's the landlord and who's in charge? I don't know.
The city is in charge. The city is the landlord. Because we are asking the food bank to do it and they are not doing it. They're not cleaning up their mess. It's the mess of the food bank. It's not the mess of the city. Correct. Not the building. It's the food bank's mess that they are not taking care of. And the city has an issue with it and has had an issue with it for years. So we don't have I just want you to understand, we don't have a problem with the coalition at all. Our contract is with the Toledo Food Bank, and they are not doing what is in that contract and keeping the rooms neat and tidy. There's more than food back there, there's junk. So
If I came to you with a proposal, like upgrading the power.
would we consider it?
Yeah.
Definitely. That has never happened. And I've talked to Debbie about different things like that. She has never, ever said, let's work together to see what we can do. So, and Debbie is a very nice person. I'm not trying to say, anything really bad about Debbie, but she wants too much control. I don't know what the issue is there. I'm not going to speculate on what the issue is, but there are issues there. And the average age of the volunteers there is very elderly. I've had other people want to help volunteer.
72.
I've had other people want to come in and volunteer to help out to clean that food bank. And the answer is always no, or I'll get back to them. So that's where there's problems, is she's not accepting the help.
Work on some of this, but I'm a little nervous with a motion to throw them out before we've had this discussion that we should have. That's where I'm going.
Well, like I said, our lease is with the Toledo Food Bank. It's not with the coalition. So the council has the right to do whatever they, want to do with the Toledo Food Bank, because we're not getting a response back.
The monster
So.
you create when you try to get your TFAP and all your alphabet food to some other organization, because that takes forever.
And that's why we're willing to try to work with another group to see what they have to offer. And that's what this is to move forward to see what this other
What's the
group can,
motivation of the other group? Have you asked that?
to help the community. They did a whole speech about what they want to do with the community and help the whole entire community, and maybe add some other things to it.
I shouldn't have heard this first.
Like I said, our contract is not with the coalition. It's with the Toledo Food Bank.
Okay, and that tells me you don't understand how everything works. And that's what I'm trying to say is, if you open this can of worms, and start trying to get federal and state food.
We're not trying to get state and federal food. The
how are you
city,
gonna feed the people?
that's what we're working toward finding out. So.
It is, and unfortunately, is that different people control different parts of the circle. Right now, we're not going to resolve anything tonight. But what I think you would be very helpful is if at some point in the future that you will help facilitate Debbie with where we're at, because at this point in time, the city needs to understand what, and that's why I said we need to, it was like I used the illustration, the Palestinians and the Israelis. You just can't have one move out, another move in, because you have too many complications. And we need to understand what all those complications are. So that's what the motion was, to move forward to improve the services to the community. Whatever that means, still has to be understood.
But see, we are set up to service the whole county. And if you rock our boat, it means everything else has to.
Well, we're not trying to rock your boat. And maybe if you're set up to serve the whole county, then maybe you have a building that she can move to that is not a city building, that the city won't be involved. And at this point in time, maybe that's the option. Maybe that's the option you want to help her to understand. From the city standpoint, it's a building that creates a health and a safety hazard that the city is determined that we need to improve on. We have that facility. We can't have the health and safety hazard, and right now we do. Yeah. So
I haven't seen it, so I can't agree with
yeah,
that.
and you don't have to agree with it, because that's the area that you don't have control.
No, and I know
Just
it's
as
your
you don't have
liability,
control of the
yeah.
federal government. So
I-
we're on different sides of an issue
Who's gonna be my contact?
that are trying to.
City Hall, yeah.
City
If you
Hall.
want to come down tomorrow and look at the building inside, You can come anytime.
Well, we've got some other questions on. Who was in the building without permission? I guess that's the next question.
So if there's a lease, who let you guys, it's down. Who let Alicia Fox? Who let who into the facility that's being leased to take pictures?
The city has access, full access to the building.
So you guys are free to just be able to let anybody you want into the facility?
We have full access to the
Okay,
have stuff stored in our-
okay. So the pictures were taken without the knowledge of the food bank. And the food bank itself obviously needs, the facility needs love. There's no heat. It's in there's no working bathroom. It's in sad condition. And for a nonprofit organization to come up with that money and do those fixes, it can't be done. So what we've been working on is trying to get to the point to where we could get a grant and possibly capital budget money. I had words this morning with Senator Braun and House Rep. Barno, and they think that's something we can all be talking about, but just moving the other direction. Let's see here. The motion was move forward with making a motion to end the bad relationship. That's what was said tonight. That's really, I don't know what to say to that. My mom and my brother created the food bank in 1986. And when my mom passed away 5 years ago, things probably weren't taken care of properly, but they need to be. And I don't think we should abandon what we have. Let's make it better. And I really think that things have gone sideways. When everybody's hearts are in the right place, I just see hate coming out of people. Just hate. That's not what we're about. We don't need to be shouting at each other. We don't need to be going behind each other's back and making up lies and having people come up to us and be rude when we're trying to do good things. I just moved back to Toledo. I want to be involved. I want it to get better. And if that means we move out, then we'll move out. And that's really sad for Toledo.
Well, I think that you want the same thing we want. And that is that the needs of the people are met. Right now, they are not being met. That was what the motion was, is that we would move forward, we meet the needs of the people, we will move slow enough to understand what all the circumstances and situations are.
Yes.
But the
agreed.
things that you bring, the passion and the concern that you bring, if that would have been applied a few months
It's
ago.
been applied.
It would have been applied a few
No,
months ago.
It has been applied.
You respond to the letters, respond to the
have.
letters from city
I
council.
have. I have responded. We've been working with the state to make sure that
No,
all the
I'm talking
stuff's up
about
to
with the
date.
city.
I haven't heard anything from the city. No, but
Oh.
I'm the one that is on the original documents. My mother is.
Well,
And
unfortunately.
I think we need to work on the board and get the board into
Well,
different shape.
we don't control the board of the food bank.
I know
What
that.
we do is we own the building. And so what I would suggest is you go back to those people that are on the board and share your passion
We're
with
working on
them
that.
and bring it forward. And
We have
because,
been.
yeah, okay, because I think that that's where it needs to begin.
I agree.
From your standpoint.
I agree.
And we can't change as much as we would like. We can't change anything that the board decides there. The
Yeah.
only thing we can affect is how we relate to that. And
Absolutely.
at this point in time, when we don't have any response, let alone negative response, then that we're kind of left in the dark. And so what I would encourage you to do
Uh-huh.
is to share, because I could feel the passion, I could feel the ownership you have there.
Well, it's
And I would
important.
suggest you go there and begin there, then get back with Michelle as an organized group that is determined. with a proposal on how we're going to improve the situation. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
And then I would encourage you that if you are not successful there, that you be equally honest with the city and saying, I understand what your issue is. We weren't able to do anything.
Absolutely.
Does
Yeah,
that make sense?
absolutely.
Okay.
And also the one other little detail that I think has gotten like overlooked or skewed to be a negative that is just it's a sign of the times is that food bank recipients countywide, statewide, nationwide, correct me if I'm wrong, Lewis County Food Coalition is down and food is up. So we have buildings full of food and people that are getting money other places and aren't necessarily coming. So that has been hard through COVID, has been really difficult. And so I want you guys to know that I'd rather have a conversation with any of you all day long than have us not, than having us talk. I don't know how many times I heard this is third person. Well, this is third person, but well, this is third person. I want to talk directly to, if we want to take a tour, we can. They've been trying to clean up and organize. And yeah, we need volunteers. I hear what you're saying. If volunteers have been told go away, that's not going to be the case and shouldn't be the case. People can't come in yelling though and being offensive either. It all needs to be good, positive work. Thank you.
So just to speak to both of your points, I reached out to Alicia back in April and May. I don't know how much louder I can be. My tone. I reached out to Alicia back in April and May and expressed concerns. And I contacted Mary in June and shared concerns and pictures and let her know that a group of people was meeting and wanted to make change for the food bank. And it went nowhere. So we moved on without it. You contacted me back, but when I asked what changes were happening, and that's fine, but I just want to make it clear that we have reached out, is the
We need
point.
to have this be a private conversation and not get into a yelling match. And we have other things. Do we have anything else to discuss here? Are we done? I make a motion that we end this meeting.
Well,
I make a, what is it?
we have a motion on the floor.
We do, what is the motion?
We have a motion.
We don't, I don't believe we have a
No
motion.
motion.
I believe the motion was to adjourn the meeting. That was
Is there any
public
other
comment.
public comment? Any other public comment? Okay, now entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Do I hear a second? It's been a motion by Emily to adjourn and seconded by Jamie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank everybody for coming tonight.